Now, as I look here, there's a world map. So here's the Eastern Kingdoms. You can see the Eastern Kingdoms, of course, looking a little bit, and I have screwed it up.
It scrolled in too far, and that's gone.
Eastern Kingdoms, of course, looking a little bit different. More of a smooshed-in version of the Eastern Kingdoms. So there's that. There's also, though, and I suppose that's just going to be giving us, we have our sort of undead Lordaeron, we have Blackrock, right? Like, this is all just the kind of big archetypes you think about when you have, wow, Ashenvale, Winter Spring. Interesting. Yeah, so it's just like a little...
Yeah, definitely not to scale.
Reduction. Yeah, not to scale. It does make me think, how are they going to add content here? So there's one thing I will say. This is how I think they could get a win here with the Warcraft audience. If you felt disenfranchised with World of Warcraft, I think we would both recommend that you open up Hearthstone, go to Book of Mercenaries, and play through the Book of Mercenaries stuff. Because those are just telling little stories in the Warcraft universe that honestly feel so much more Warcraft than really Shadowlands and BFA did in so many cases. They're like really good slices of Warcraft content. So if I'm thinking about Blizzard here, what's the thing to do? Well, could you do a little retelling of a part of the First War or the Second War or some event in Warcraft's history through a little campaign in this? And you could do it in a way where it's a little fun game version of it, or you could do it in a way that you're playing it in the Hearthstone Tavern and there's some grizzled veteran beside you recounting a war story. There is a way that with a shred of creativity, they could put the narrative into this, that at least to the Warcraft fans, the way that the Book of Mercenaries makes Hearthstone feel a hell of a lot better. Yeah. They could do that. I'm not saying they will.
Yeah,
they probably won't.
Yeah,
but they could.
Look at the timeline for the clans and stuff there. It's Alliance, it's Blackrock. It's Blackrock Orcs there. There's beasts. It's all very much AK and Kalimdor. Before
that's our factions.
Yeah, it's not going to be particularly heavy on like Neuralure. It's going to be very much, hey, this is what I called. And you might want to look at it. I put it in the bottom of the Notion doc, but the GameSpot have a preview on it, which apparently includes hands-on gameplay. Someone pointed out in chat. But you may not believe what they're saying. And I certainly wouldn't. But their headline is Warcraft Arclight Rumble is classic Warcraft made bite-size. Blizzard returns to its roots in Warcraft's mobile debut.
Well,
which is going to make people laugh, but
yeah. Well, let's take a look. So, intends to remind us of where Warcraft started to resurrect Warcraft's past, all while mixing familiar gameplay with characters and lands built by the MMO's lore to create an all-new experience. The premise sees coin-operated machines appearing in taverns throughout Azeroth, whose patrons use minifigures of creatures and heroes to battle against each other in a simplified RTS. So similar approach to how Hearthstone's using its tavern setting.
Oh my god, I can't believe I didn't realize. I was sitting thinking, why is it called Warcraft Arclight Rumble? That's a terrible... Arclight's terrible. That means nothing to anyone. It's abbreviated war.
Welcome to Warcraft War.
Well, it's welcome to war. Well, that's a bit intense.
That is tonally, hey everyone, welcome to war, and it's this cute war.
Oh dear.
Okay, so let's see. The gameplay loop is easy to get a grip on. Summon units into lanes. Watch them slowly progress up. Overarching goal, defeating the foe. So there's arrows on the map that you can use to basically have units change, but they are fully autonomous when summoned, which I think is definitely the correct move to make for a game like this. Make it more like an auto chess-ish tug-of-war format. Units can be summoned at your base, but then there's smaller towns and summoning stones on some maps. And I guess a little bit of rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, so there's... what I would expect, some unique situations, 2 units that can attack anywhere at the board at any time, chain lightning, a spell unit that fires a quick bolt of lightning that will damage multiple enemies grouped together, and a safe pilot, a dwarven pilot, who enters an area dive bombing. If a boss is low on health, either of those could end the battle by themselves as soon as they're summoned, so that's a little bit like in, say, a Clash Royale. You also can have spell cards that you can use. I would imagine, though, just Blizzard putting a little bit more, UX and nice chunky animations and such. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Missions are carried out on a giant world map with each section holding 5 battles. Winning all 5 battles opens up the next region until eventually the entire map has been defeated. Each victory earns you a skull, which acts as a running tally of how many missions you've beaten in your playthrough. As it rises, more ways to play are unlocked, including one-off quests where you select a unit to power up, fight a battle, and if you win, it gets an extra boost. Skulls unlock PvP missions where you battle against friends, and full-on raids where multiple players can gather together against the biggest and baddest enemies in the game.
Yep, that's exactly what I expected. All of this can be done without paying a single cent of real-world money. The option to spend money on new units is available, but War doesn't seem to care if you do or not. That's an interesting one.
War might not care, but the monetization people will.
Absolutely.
So,
yep.
Let's take a look here. The army I was able to amass through normal gameplay and in-game currency got me through the majority of the missions I played in one try, even if some of those were nail-biters that weren't decided until the final seconds. And that is actually a thing. These can be challenging little games.
And obviously,
you look at Clash Royale, like, that can be fucking challenging.
Well, that's where we have to look if we're going to continue on the monetization cynicism angle. We have to look at Candy Crush, where how much of that is designed to be just hard enough for you to go, maybe if you buy an extra power-up, you'll beat it next time. And that's the kind of cycle they trap you into. So that's the thing of if you're not particularly good at this, or maybe you don't enjoy the challenge. Because I think that's where a lot of the monetization of this stuff will come from. It'll come from casual audiences who don't really enjoy the challenge very much, and their frustration will make them open their wallet. And it's kind of hard to get around that when you're designing this with monetization in mind at all, because you either make it too easy and then good players won't find it fun, or you make it too hard and then everyone goes, you're just trying to squeeze money out of us, you bastards.
Yeah.
So I think that's a...
So it's, I guess it's kind of interesting there. You seem to level units up through gameplay.
Yeah.
And then you can acquire units via in-game currency and IRL currency.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, like, are they going to try to add new sets of units over time and monetize that way? Or is it going to be based on how you rank up the heroes?
So I imagine it'll be a combination of both. I imagine minis won't just be minis and then you level them up and you're done. But also there's 65, they said. I think over 65 at the start, which isn't an awful lot of minis. So I'm assuming that, and also they're minis. You're going to print more of those. You're going to sell the physical versions. That's the idea, is you can just make more of them.
Yeah.
And you can probably expand it in terms of expand extra units, expand extra leaders, because leaders have like small gameplay stuff. So you can have a little bit of a design challenge, a little bit of fun. Almost exactly how you make more cards in a card game, where it's just going to be continually adding more. And then that'll be where like the monetization, repeat monetization comes in. Where it's like, oh yeah, you may have a legendary Jaina that's like full max level, but wouldn't you like a legendary Grom as well? Or I guess he's already in the game, so...
Yeah,
I legendary Thrall or something like that.
You'll feel like in your first playthrough, you'll probably feel totally fine.
Yeah.
But then it's like if you want to really start doing the raids and stuff like that,
it'll start to squeeze,
then you'll maybe want that variety. But this person says, in-game variety came at a steady rate. My units powered up enough. The battles never felt out of reach, even if I failed. And nothing was ever locked away behind a timer, as is common in mobile games. That's good, and that would certainly solve one of the annoying things about Clash Royale, where it just hides loot behind a fucking timer. And which basically works as a way where you can play Clash Royale for 10 minutes a day, and fine, probably grand for a mostly free experience. But if you actually just want to sit there and enjoy it for the actually fun game that it is, then it's going to start saying, hey, you better cough up. So them not doing that, that's definitely good. That definitely feels... Well, it seems like this is going to be less anti-player than most of the things in this genre, which you kind of would expect, given that it's a premium IP that was never rooted in the mobile market, and they're probably really aware of how badly this could backfire.
And also a substantial amount of those games are getting very on in years.
Yeah.
And those games aren't likely the ones to go for a fundamental design shift. This is the kind of stuff where, like, it's kind of like the Genshin thing, where you get loot if you spend your dust, but if you don't, you're fine. Or dust, I can't remember. It's that long since I played, I can't remember the name of it, but the daily resource. It's that thing of you can play all you want, but and I imagine it'll be the same with like XP. I imagine XP will be like slightly gated based on, or like maybe first 5 games of the day, you get an XP bonus or something like that for the grind part of it. Where I think people have generally learned, if you let players play more, they will enjoy your game. Just don't force them to grind.
Yeah.
Otherwise that, obviously, as we all know, being World of Warcraft players, completely get you completely out of the game. So that's interesting.
Yeah, so I think like that's...
Oh, it's also worth saying that this is literally a preview build that they got to play.
True.
So there's all the chance that it's like, hey, GameSpot, here's a version that doesn't feel like shit. Oh, hey, users, here's the version that we get to pay for. Here you go. You're going to like lose like hell unless you spend money after after like 3 hours of play. So that is one thing to keep in mind, because it feels nasty, but that's just the shit they can do, and the shit they will do.
Yeah, so basically when I look at this, I know that this is a fun subgenre of game because I've played it before. I would then though, I would stop playing because I get annoyed by the monetization. Yeah. If you want to know my profile as a gamer who does own a mobile phone that can play games, it's pretty simple. Mm-hmm. There are some one-off Apple Arcade games that don't have bullshit monetization, even a little puzzle game like Mini Motorways that I do really enjoy from time to time. I don't play any mobile games that are full of the bullshit. When I look at this, I know I've enjoyed Clash Royale because it's a fun little strategy game. You know, you versus another player who's going to make the right calls. It fundamentally works in the same way that I know I enjoy playing a good old tug-of-war custom game in the StarCraft 2 arcade mode, or even in Warcraft 3. Used to play Warcraft 3 custom tower defense games with people way back many years ago, and that's still great. That's still really fun. So I do think this will be a really fun game. When I look at it, it seems to have a level of Blizzard polish, while it is obviously more Hearthstone-ish in that it's not self-serious or anything like that. I do think it's a well-executed art style. Might not be everyone's cup of tea, but for what it is really well done. It looks fun. I think I will play it. This is, I think, a game I could absolutely see myself playing and enjoying, because I already know that this sort of game is fun. The question is going to be, will they just grab my balls, squeeze them, and say, "Pay up, bitch"? Will they do that? That'll ruin it.